you to you. All right, guys, we got 4:30 here in California, beautiful California. It's a little bit strange today with the overcast. We're not used to that at this time of the year. At least we didn't get any rain come in. So
at least I don't have to wear sunglasses.
No, that's right. No sunglasses. You're wearing a coat. So happy Friday afternoon, happy Friday evening to those on the East Coast. Happy Friday night to Europe. It's great to have everybody on. Welcome to the newcomers. We are going to try to put a little show on here. Rebecca and I, welcome back to the rest of you guys. I know there's a lot of people back that's been here before. We are pretty much overwhelmed with how many people are on this. This is absolutely awesome. Great way for us to share the excitement of what's going on here in our backyard, all our organic stuff, all the green stuff growing here.
And we love all the feedback and suggestions everybody's been providing us.
Yeah, that's really good. And please keep on bringing those suggestions back to us. And what is it? Oh, I got to take my hat off, right? That's right. Always got to take my hat off. Better?
Yes.
You got strange hair? No?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, but what we love to do about this show is to share with you guys our philosophy and share with you guys our dedication to organic, biodynamic, sustainable farming, which is so important for us. And especially in these days where a lot of strange things are going on around us, it's good that we stick together. It's good that we have a nice social interaction, and it is good that we put some good things in our body, good food, and of course, some great wine. So we appreciate this. We try to show you as we go through these events how Rebecca and I will take care of Mother Nature. Oh yeah, we're gonna get back to you. You're not on yet. Hang on there. And it's our third episode in our series that we hopefully will continue to do. We love this. We're having a lot of fun with it. We're having a lot of fun with you guys. It was great to see that out there are people having a great party in their backyards, on their driveway, on their balconies, and we got some videos back from the East Coast.
And if anybody has a pickup truck and can do the tailgating, we suggest doing that because it's great.
Exactly. Tailgating is fun. Like you were writing about, we did a lot of tailgating from early on.
Yeah.
When we came up here. So it's really, it's a good time to have a lot of fun. What we're going to do here today is we're going to soon, it's your turn soon, we're going to talk about a special guest. I know that some people were thinking it was our good friend Kurt. It was actually a good idea to do it with Kurt, but Kurt is not on today. Maybe he'll be on in the future. Could be. We have another special guest on instead of that. We're going to talk about where we are. We're going to show you a little bit around. We moved to a different location this time, and we will, of course, then we get into wine, pop the wine, and talk about the wine. Details about the wine. We are asked to talk a little bit more about the wine that we've done before, and okay, you'll get out and run with the dog soon.
She sees our other two dogs running around and wants to know why she's confined.
She want to be down with the other dogs here. We got Rebecca and I are here, and we got the three dogs. We got Artemis is down behind you down there. She's in the middle of some big sniffing around, and Apollo's just sitting here patiently figuring out what's going on.
Luckily, you guys didn't see last time, but she caught a squirrel and killed it.
Oh yeah, that was a lot of action there. Chat is on. We have changed from doing a Zoom meeting to a Zoom webinar because of the amount of people that's on it. And there are a little bit of changes in regards to that. We can both use a chat and also question and answer thing. Right now, we're just using chat this time. If we need a question and answer, we can turn
people
it on.
are already sipping the wine.
People are already sipping the wine. We'll get there really soon. But we are also, we had a problem recording last time. We had a lot of technical problems last time, as you probably remember. But we should be recording this, and it should be available on YouTube. Within a few days. It's a little bit hard to upload a 1 gigabyte file when you live in the boonies and have satellite connection to the internet. But hopefully it's all going to work out. And then I think it's time to do a little introduction here.
Yeah, so this is Athena. So Athena is the daughter of Zeus. Happens to be Zeus's favorite, but she isn't more of our favorite than our other two. And like the other two, Artemis and Apollo are the twins of Zeus. So Athena is the goddess of patronage of Athens. So she's the protector. And how we came across Athena is my husband was out looking at, I think, Facebook page on a place where we have our second cabin, and found out that this dog needed a home. It was a rescue dog, but the shelters were overcrowded. And so the minute we saw her picture, we said, oh, this is a no-brainer. We have to take her. And so she became a member. She's been with us for 2 weeks. She's an amazing dog, the easiest dog I've ever trained in my life. She's a little bit smaller than the other two, so we said the next time we get another dog, we got to get them a little bit bigger.
A little bit bigger. It went the other way. We think she's a pit bull chocolate lab kind of blend.
Yeah, she's a pit bull lab mix, about 2 years old.
Yeah, and she's not available. She's not for sale, by the way. She has moved in already. She's running the whole house already, which is absolutely great. So anyway, but it's a great time really to bring another person, another dog, another way into the family. Now that we have a lot of time to take good care of her and get her trained. The other dogs have been
begging me to let her go.
Yeah,
so
she's like, can I get out of here? I just want to go. I just want to go. We'll let her go. We'll let her run. That's fine. So where we are this time is we have moved from the first place, which is over at the chicken coop behind block 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And last time we were supposed to do it at block 12, 10, but there was just a horrible telephone signal.
So Peter, we've got a question, great question. Okay. Given the youngness of this 14, which is actually slightly aged.
God, they can't wait to talk about it. Look at this, we still have a cork in ours.
I have a feeling we're going to get a lot of comments. Speed up to the wine.
Yeah, get to the point.
Would you recommend decantering or double decantering or just pop and pour?
So,
I think, quite honestly, decantering is really only good for 2 purposes. One is if the wine is really young, let's say like it's a 18, 19, those are young for red wines. You want to introduce oxygen because oxygen is an artificial way of aging wines, and therefore it will smooth it out and not make it so sharp in your mouth. And decantering introduces oxygen. The other reason to decanter is really to remove sediment.
And and last night we actually cheated. Last night we had a bottle of the 14 Grenache last night because we wanted to check it out, and it was not screaming for oxygen at all. It was just I don't think there's any need to. There's no sediment you want to get rid of it from it either. So I wouldn't do that.
And so people are noticing my
yeah,
handy husband, because of all the wind we had, we ran into risks of the wind knocking over the bottles and the glasses. And so he built this mammoth. It's about 60 pounds to prevent the wind from taking off on our glasses in the bottle.
This is what I do on Sundays. I build things. It was actually kind of fun. There's some old scrapwood that we had that I put it together from. Should we just go ahead and pop that?
I think we should.
When people start talking about it, I get Thursday and it's Friday. And it's late. By the way, it's really fun with these shows because
one thing I get a lot of questions asked about these wax dots, just in case people are wondering. Don't take a knife and try to pop the dot off. If you've got a really good quality corkscrew, what you want to do is put it in sideways like I am, start the twist, and then as you twist, you just go right through the wax, and it pops right off.
That's good. That's a good way to do it. So now they need to come with a manual for opening or something. We'll add it to the next version. So it's really cool with the Grenache. Let's talk a little bit about the Grenache now. That's fine. Whoa, man, nice recovery. You did good there. So Grenache is a very interesting grape to work with. Our first, the first time we tried something out was in 2002, where we were buying some barrels with wine. It was in February. We went over to meet with Steve Beckman to buy 2 barrels of Syrah from him. And we wanted to, let's do cheers.
Toast, everybody.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
No spitting on Friday. No be tasting. Okay, what's coming in now?
I'm loving these chats. Somebody caught us. They're asking us why we're drinking a Grenache out of a Pinot glass.
Because it is, okay. We don't have Grenache glass. You know, it's a really good all-round glass. These are great glasses. Yes, they are Burgundy glasses, but we in our house we use it for everything except for sparkling wine.
Yeah,
we use it for everything.
And the reason we
Grappa,
like it
whatever.
is because it's got a big surface area that you can really smell the aromas of it.
Do you know that a glass like this, we can put a whole bottle in?
I did. Did you guys know you could put the entire bottle of wine in this size glass?
Now it's too late because we already have it. So Grenache is a really cool grape. So when we went over and tasted the Syrah with Steve Beckman, he said, by the way, I've got some Grenache in barrels as well. And we were like, well, we don't know that much about Grenache. And remember when we were tasting it, we were like, wow, this is so good. So before we knew it, we had bought 2 barrels of Grenache from Steve Beckman as well. And we ended up.
I need to clarify the we part of it. That would be my husband. And if everybody's heard before, he's my profit prevention department.
I think you mentioned that last time too, didn't you?
I did.
She's still laughing about it. It was a great wine. We absolutely loved it. Many of you guys will probably know that Grenache goes back to the Rhone area of France, Middle Rhone, where they got Châteauneuf-du-Pape. It's one of the up to 13 grapes that can go into the Châteauneuf-du-Pape, but it's typically the main grape in Châteauneuf-du-Pape. Further down south in Rhone, there's more of it. You have some of it by itself, but it's really a grape that takes a little more heat. It is much warmer in that part of the world than it is if you drive some hours up north and get up to Burgundy, where Pinot Noir comes from. So a lot of difference in the temperature where it comes from. Now, where we got it here in our backyard, it's the same temperature. It's growing right next to Pinot Noir.
The thing is everybody thinks you should grow Grenache in hot climate because it won't get ripened in time. And so most Grenaches come from hot weather. And the problem with that is Grenache is very sensitive to the heat and the sun, and it can bleach it. And that's why often Grenache may be a lighter color, almost like a Pinot color, where ours is much darker.
Yeah.
Because we're in a very cool area, and there's only, I think, 3 or 4 vineyards that have Grenache planted in Santa Rita Hills. Mm. And we think the secret to Santa Rita Hills, at least I do, is the Grenache.
And the cuttings that we got for this, we basically put rootstock in when we planted in 2004, and then got cuttings and grafted them over onto the rootstock. The cuttings we got from John Alban, it's the Alban clone as we call it, which is really known for being a very expressive clone with relatively smaller grapes. It's all big grapes when it comes to Grenache, but they're smaller, more concentration.
And some people are asking about the ideal temperature for the Grenache, and I think in general for wines. We strongly believe that people serve white wines too cold and red wines too warm. If you serve a white wine cold, what it does is it shuts down the fruit. So you're really not getting the fruitiness of that wine and the expression that wine has. So what would you suggest on the Grenache?
I love what we do up at Lorraine's house, honey, where, you know, I'll take it out of the wine cellar. It comes out at like 56, 57 degrees. Pop it up. It might be a little chilly in the beginning. You put it into this glass. It'll get up to 60 degrees.
The whole bottle?
Of course, the whole bottle. You'll get up to 60 degrees pretty soon. And there in the low 60s, it's just a really good temperature to drink it in.
Yeah, we sometimes will, in the hot summer, take our bottle of red wine and put it in an ice bucket because we don't want it served, you know, in the 70s, because that's just too hot.
I remember once we were sitting with Chris Kern and Bruno D'Alfonso over at Los Olivos Cafe, and Bruno has just ordered a bottle of his Di Bruno Sangiovese. It was like 15 years ago. And it came out, it was way too warm. He poured it in his glass, and he got so irritated about it, he threw a couple of ice cubes into it. I'm like, whoa, this is what winemakers do around here. So back to the Grenache.
So I'm the Rhone lover. I think we've covered that before. And so here's the way I like to explain Grenache. You've got Pinot that it's the easiest wine to make. It takes no challenge. The Grenache is probably the most difficult wine we've ever made. It goes through these wild mood swings. Like one day it's fantastic. The next day you taste it, you go, oh my God, what's happened to the wine? And it takes the wine such a long time to get through this mood swing that we're finding that we barrel age this wine for 3 years, bottle age it another year, And then we often will put our Grenaches long time into the cellar, like this 2014.
It's drinking great.
And it's drinking fantastic now. It's like, this is the best time to pop the 14, I think.
I think it's great. By the way, if you start hearing some growling on this, it's because two of the dogs are fighting a little bit, just playing around. No, all three of them. Soon it's going to happen. Before we know it, they're going to probably hit the stand. It's really fun what we are watching here. We'll show it to you guys later. But back to the Grenache. The other thing that's interesting with Grenache is that when we work with the vines out in the vineyard, and remember our reference point for training vines is Pinot Noir. That's what we got most of. We got like whatever, almost 30,000 Pinot Noir vines out there.
And my husband has named every single one of them.
The Joe and Sue and whatever. But when we started growing Grenache, what we learned was that it's very difficult to grow Grenache.
Yes.
Grenache is very, it's not only temperamental, but it tends to have fairly short shoots. So when these little buds that I showed you a couple of weeks ago, when these buds are starting to push out on Grenache, they just don't grow that fast. So with Syrah, a shoot can become up to 10 feet long easily. Come on, guys, I'm trying to talk here. It's so funny because they're best buddies. They're just having a blast back there. So with the Grenache, the shoots are barely 3 feet long when they're full size. The leaves are huge. The leaves can easily be like almost like as big as my face. So there's enough.
Make very large stuffed grape leaves.
Last time we had wind noise, now we have dog noise. But that's one thing is that we got to get that right balance. And you cannot have too many clusters, too big clusters. Okay, guys. Come on, guys. Yeah, good guys. So you need to have that right balance between leaf surface because that's where your carbohydrates comes from.
Somebody is asking about what kind of food do we put our Grenache with? Put them all in there, Peter. Sorry about that. So in regards to pairing the Grenache, it's actually a great barbecue wine. We really do love, and it's hard with barbecue sometimes because of the acid so much in the tomato barbecue sauce. But the Grenache doesn't have a huge amount of acid like the Syrah will have far more acid. Therefore, it can go better with the barbecue sauce. So barbecue, tri-tip, that's kind of the thing we usually pull the Grenache out.
And then what we love to do is we love to go over to Andrew, who has a Sunrise right over here. He grows a lot of organic vegetables, and he does a little kind of backdoor sale. And we'll go over to Andrew and see whatever vegetables he has. Get some of his fresh vegetables, a little bit of olive oil, salt, pepper, and just throw them on the barbecue. I think that'll work out great with the tri-tip. So a little bit more about with the Grenache is that it is always
so they asked you to back up when the dogs were making all that noise. They didn't hear about the big leaves.
Oh, about the big leaves. Sorry about that. So again, the shoots are not that long on Grenache, 3 feet or so, give or take. But the leaves are big, huge leaves. They can be as big as a face. And therefore it's very important to create the right balance. We call it source and sink, where the source is where the energy comes from, with the carbohydrates from the photosynthesis, and the sink is where it goes to. So the sink is of course a cluster, so the carbohydrates helps on developing the clusters. Therefore, we need to have enough leaf surface to do the ripening of the clusters. So it's a very hard balance.
And because the other thing is, because the Grenache, like I mentioned, is very sensitive to sun, we typically will, on all the Pinots and the Syrahs, pull the leaves off the fruit zone so it can get better photosynthesis. But if we did that, it would sun bleach the fruit. So what we do is we move the wires and we pull all the leaves from the center and then take the shoots and make a little tulip around the fruit to protect it from the sun. And I've had a couple of vineyards come and talk with me because they were surprised at how dark our Grenache was and trying to find out what we're doing and how do we make that happen. And so I had to teach them how to do the leaf pulling. It's
quite extensive how much time we need to spend on the Grenache. But you know, at the end of the day, It is great in the glass. A little bit about the 14
the
is
next is Grenache the same as Grenache?
Garnacha, that's what they call it in Spain.
Yep.
So Garnacha and Grenache is the same. It's one of the most widely planted red varietals in the world. Another thing with the Grenache here is that because it's used to the warmer climate, it's always the last thing to get going, and it's always behind. So where the shoots on the Pinot are about, like 4-6 inches long already, the Grenache is just starting to push out. When we get, 6 weeks down the road and Pinot Noir starts flowering, the Grenache is not ready. It'll come 4 weeks afterwards. The same with the color change of variation. Same thing is behind, and of course with harvest. So it's always the last grapes that we harvest.
So we were not thinking when we planted Pinot, Syrah, and Grenache, because it makes our harvest go for about 3 months, and when everybody else is done around us, we're still working to harvest.
And it's a pain in the neck because we work so hard on this Pinot Noir, going through fermentation and punch downs and whatever, and we finally get into barrels. We're like, now it's done, and what are we going to do now? Well, let's go out and pick Grenache and start all over again.
So a little bit more about the wine. We also use about a third new oak on this wine. Yeah. We do a combination of French and American oak, but what we have found that we absolutely love is these barrels that are called hybrids. We don't know too many people using them, and I don't understand why. I love them. So the heads will be American, and the staves are French. And I like to say for the 3 years, the Americans and the French are duking it out until they get integrated. Typically, wineries will have a French barrel and an American barrel, and then they don't integrate them until bottling time. But we're finding that by doing the 3 years integration over that long period of time, the oak doesn't stick out. The French oak softens the American oak, and the American oak is adding a little bit more of the coconut flavors to it that we really love.
And there are some winemakers that use a lot of American oak, and it can kind of get, in my mind, too much when it gets to like dill flavors in there. Okay, what's the next one?
Somebody's asking, have we ever considered planting Chardonnay?
Well, at least they didn't ask about Dornfelder.
So Chardonnay,
so
that's funny. So when I first met Peter, one of the things he used to call the American Chardonnays, because he's from Europe, was the Dolly Partons of the world, overdone.
Yeah, a little bit too top heavy, kind of.
And so we are not Chardonnay drinkers. And so the wines we make and what we grow are the wines we like, because it's all about us and not you.
But the truth be told, when we planted the first vineyard in 01, we actually planted 1 acre of Chardonnay.
But it wasn't for us.
No, it was for somebody else, and we had never harvested. We grafted it over.
Yeah.
So the answer is, let me get to so the answer is, we will probably never plant Chardonnay. I was so much against Chardonnay for many, many years. And I think it's also when you and I met, we drank a lot of Chardonnay, like you were saying, and we maybe had a little bit too much Chardonnay. So we kind of got over that. But later on, after we visited Chablis, I remember when we went into William Favre, and we went to Procard and tasted their Chardonnays in the city of Chablis. And they were just like some of the most fantastic white wines I've ever had. So as some of you know, that we actually do make some Chardonnay, not under Ampelos. We make together with Kurt for his label Gogi.
Kurt Russell.
And then we have our project with Alex Campbell from Burgundy under the Campbell work label, where we make a little bit of Chardonnay, and it's awesome.
So somebody is asking what other grape we would add to the Grenache to make it even better. And I got to tell you.
It's Mourvèdre.
No, it's not. We believe that the two best grapes together are actually what should be together is the Syrah and Grenache, and that's why we make that Syrah, which is a Syrah Grenache combination. They're twins. They complement each other so unbelievably. Where the Grenache is very soft and elegant, and the Syrah can be very spicy and big. And then between those two of them, you're actually getting a very smooth, elegant wine that is not a big, bold, in your face.
Right. And you often hear about the GSMs, Grenache, Syrah, and Mourvèdre. We have been making some Mourvèdre. We have a good friend, Matt Kidman, here from Santa Barbara. We've been making some Mourvèdre with him and his friend Giuseppe. And it's really good, but for some reason, we just don't think it goes into the Syrah. But we have other things up the sleeves that we're going to talk about one day. Like carrying on.
One point everybody needs to know is if you're doing the chat, make sure you select panelists and attendees so that everybody can see it.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. We're still driving with training wheels here. So one of the things that we wanted to do is in every one of these episodes, we want to have a special focus, something we talk about. What we're going to talk about today is biodynamic, because we're so passionate about biodynamic. We got into it in 2006, so we've done it for 15 years now.
Yep.
And we think we really got it fairly well dialed in. And biodynamic can often be presented as something very esoteric, very much some like voodoo thing and whatever. It's not. It's just really good farming using really good ingredients, like cooking a good dish.
You can think about biodynamic as holistic medicine for the earth. There's two basic principles of it. The first principle is the waste of something becomes the energy for something else. So an example of that is all the stems, seeds, and skins, and you're going to see our compost pile. We bring it back, we compost it, and then we put it back in the vineyard. You saw the first episode, a bunch of our chickens running around. They eat the ants and fertilize the vines. And then the other part of it is, which Peter and I will get into, is we know the constellations have an effect on the earth. So depending on where we're at, which constellations, waning moon or descending moon or ascending moon tells us it's better times to do certain farming practices than others. So an example of that is on a descending moon, the earth takes in, an ascending moon, the earth lets out. So we irrigate on a descending moon, which takes less water and deeper penetrations than if we irrigated at other times.
Cool. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to flip the camera around here and, whoops, one more time. Okay, there we go. And then Rebecca, you're going to be the cameraman.
Yep. And just by what, I won't be able to watch the chat for a few minutes because I'm operating the camera.
All right. So what we're going to do here is we're going to show you some of the main components that we use for our biodynamic farming. So in biodynamics, there are a total of 9 preparations that is being used and that is being incorporated in the farming. 8 of those are fertilizers. One of them is fungicide. So of the 8 fertilizers, the most important thing we believe that we got is quartz crystals. So quartz crystals, these guys are guys that we get from Colorado. So we take these crystals and we grind them up. The goal is to get them to become very fine powder, really as fine as flour or even like a baking soda. So the way we do that is we got this thing that we have developed while we throw them in here, and then getting some good exercise. We just start grinding these guys. I'm not going to continue doing that, but
he doesn't want too much
I
exercise.
don't want to get too much exercise. But once these guys have been ground pretty well, this is what they, can you see it okay there? So this is what they come out looking like. So pretty well ground crystals. And then we take these guys and they go onto this marble table we have with 2 marble grinders, and we grind it until it finally becomes as fine as flour, as I mentioned. And that's what it then looks like, this stuff here. So when you look at this, you can see this is as fine as you pretty much can get it. And then the next part of this is that it goes in the ground for 6 months. This is where people start saying,
Voodoo and zinni,
exactly.
But it's because it needs to go through a fermentation process, just like wine.
So what we do is we fill up cow horns. We have 12 cow horns here. 9 of them are actually up there right now under the oak tree. And we fill them up and we leave them in the ground for 6 months. They go down at spring equinox, they come out at fall equinox. And then we have the final product, which is actually what I got up here. It looks very, very similar.
That's you see the one.
That was this one, sorry. Exactly. Gotta get the right one. So that's right. So you can even see there's a little fungus that got onto this stuff. So here's the final product that is then ready to be applied out there. And what we do with it is that,
and by the way, the cow horns have to be female cow horns and not male. Not male cow horns, because females are silicon and males are calcium, and they don't last long.
So this is applied at 3 times of the year. So we spray it out here in a week or 2 weeks. We're going to spray it out when we got about half a foot of shoot growth out there. And then we spray it when we are done with flowering. So now we into like mid-June, late June, depending upon Syrah, Pinot Noir, Grenache, whatever. And then we spray it 2 to 4 weeks before we pick the grapes. And what this does is that it accelerates photosynthesis. It helps in the development of carbohydrates that we talked a little bit about before. It is one of the very important parts of our fertilizing process. Another thing, Rebecca, if you want to come over and join me over here, this is also why we are camping out here today. I can actually feel the heat from this.
Yeah.
Is amazing. Can you feel it?
Yeah, this is warm here.
It's
We
warm
should have been
here,
here.
So what we got here is our compost. And this is compost that we have built up. Like Rebecca was talking about, it is like the waste of one process becomes input for another process. This is made from right here from harvest pretty much. So when you dig into this stuff, and it's just amazing. Can you feel the heat? Just
Oh
with your
my
hand?
gosh, yeah.
So what we got
Hand
here,
warmer.
yeah, and it smells fantastic. What this is it's a combination of, see if I can find some good ones here. Yeah, look at this. So see this is a stem from harvest, okay? You'll find that there's seeds here and there's skin. So this is all the waste material from harvest this year. It goes back in here, goes through the composting process.
Have you seen how much my husband loves compost? What man likes compost as much as he does?
But the thing is, this is fertilizers, and this is a way that we can then get these vines to be healthy ongoing, because every year we take away from Mother Nature. When we take grapes away, we've got to give something back. We've got to fertilize it. This is a main part of our fertilizing. So now we're going to apply here over the next few weeks, we're going to apply 6 biodynamic preparations to it. And that is, and let me show you that to you. They're right over here. So this is in our biodynamic box here. Let's just be a little careful, make sure we don't have any
Spiders
or something else in here. Let's put these guys on. It doesn't kill us along the way. So this is a biodynamics box we use for storing our biodynamic preparations.
It has moss all around it to keep moisture and keep it cool.
And over here are the 6 preparations that goes into the compost. I'm actually just about to apply them next week. So it is stinging nettle, it's oak bark, it's yarrow, it's valerian, it's dandelion, and it's chamomile. And these are all applied in very small amounts. So like in this case here, this is some oak bark that has been stored in some intestines. And it's based on Rudolf Steiner's principles from 1924. This is about as much as we apply to this whole compost pile. And then when we get to November this year, we're going to spray all of this out in the vineyards, and every vine will get like 1 shovelful. If it's a weak vine, a new vine, it may get 2 shovelfuls. So that's how we can micro-regulate the amounts that we apply to each vine. So that's part of the biodynamic. And the last part of biodynamic is that I think I'll just show a couple of pictures of the calendar. So we do that over there.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
We're heading back.
We're heading back again. So let me just, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to bring up a couple of pictures here. So let's see how this works. So I'm just going to bring it back to a beautiful picture of myself. And then here I'm going to go see on your screen right now, actually this one and that one. So is that on your screen there?
I'm looking, Jeff.
Okay, great. So on the screen right now, you should see a picture, and this is from the Biodynamic calendar. It's a calendar that Maria Thun, a wonderful German lady that unfortunately died a few years ago, she developed this biodynamic calendar, and that's used by all biodynamic farmers in the world. Her son Matthias now continue with the calendar. And what it addresses is the fact that the moon's position in the constellation impacts the elements. So there are 12 constellations. As you know, the sun moves through them in about a year, 365 days. The moon does it in 27.5 days. So when the moon is in these different constellations, it impacts the 4 elements that you have under elements. And each element is related to a part of the plant. Therefore, we have root days, we have leaf days, we have fruit days, and we have flower days. So for instance, when the moon is in Leo, Aries, or Sagittarius, that's what we call fruit days. Why does this matter? Well, here's what this month looks like from the biodynamic calendar. Here you can see the days over to the left going down, and then with the colors indicated what type of day it is. If you look down on today, Friday, you would see it's yellow. That's a flower day.
Which is a great day for wine.
And that's a good day to drink wine. We don't have much time to cover all the details in this, but this is part of how Rebecca and I, we run the vineyards and the winery. We make decisions about certain activities in the vineyards, especially like picking. We make decisions about blending, about bottling, based upon the biodynamic calendar.
So Peter, we have several questions.
Absolutely. I'll put this one back on here.
So one of the questions is, yeah, Martian Mourvedre we do like. In fact, I'm really good friends with Nan. But Mourvedre is just not necessarily the wine style that we're wanting to move with. Somebody has asked the difference between biodynamics and permacultural.
Yeah, so biodynamic is exactly those principles that we have talked about. And there's a lot of overlap with that and permaculture. Permaculture is also about, shifting things, having different things planted. I want to just be careful about the little thing down there. Okay, good. These are all part of great farming principle. We hear more and more about regenerative farming right now. And it's all a good set of principles for taking care of the earth, taking care of the soil, taking care of the plants. So you think about it this way: whatever we consume, almost everything that we put in our body comes from what? Soil, comes from topsoil. It's the most important thing we have. So whatever we can learn from Mother Earth about good principles for taking care of the soil is so important. Biodynamic is, permaculture is. And it's, it's really weird, not weird, it's logic. I went out last night and I looked at the stars and the planets out there. And it's pretty darn clear up here. But I swear I've never seen the planets as clear as last night.
Oh, wow.
Right, and we've been reading about how clear the air is in China, that it's saving a lot of people from not over polluting. So it's just amazing to see all those great things we can do to Mother Earth to take care of Mother Earth.
So another question is, how many vineyards carry the same certifications as we do? Well, we were about number 40, I think, as a biodynamic vineyard certified in the United States. There's now well over 100 vineyards that are certified biodynamic. Yeah. And if you're certified biodynamic, by default, you're organic. Then on the sustainability, that's really hard to say because unfortunately with sustainability certifications, they're regional. So Lloydette has theirs, Central Coast has theirs, Oregon has theirs. So it's centralized. And the good news is Wine Institute, which is the largest organization for wineries across the United States, and which Peter sits on the board of, has developed a certification program that they're rolling out California-wide, and their goal is US-wide. So we'll eventually, hopefully, get to a one certification sustainable that is equal across the entire United States.
And I think it's almost like 30% of the bottles in California are now certified under that program.
Awesome.
It's very cool. I'm vice chair of the program. Next year, I'm actually going to be the chair of the program.
So the thing is with this, we do not know of another vineyard that is certified in all three practices. There might be, because it's hard to tell on the sustainability because there's so many different ones. But as far as we've seen, heard, we've not encountered anybody who's...
But we don't want to say nobody else is. It's not something we have time to spend on following it out there. The only thing we know for sure is when we got certified in all three, we were the first ones to be there.
Somebody else says, yes, we do use the biodynamic calendar for tasting. There's an app.
This is what it looks like. Yeah.
There's an app you can put on your phone, of course.
When Wine?
It's called When, W-H-E-N, Wine. And you can look up for the day or the week and whether it's a good day or a bad day to drink wine. So good days are flower days and fruit days. bad days are root days and leaf days, and there are blackout days. However, the way Peter and I look at it, if it's a blackout day and we have wine,
we'll have a cold beer.
No, we don't. We'll still open a bottle of wine and we taste it and say, oh, this is delicious. And I say, yeah, imagine what it would be like if it was on a fruit day or a root day. I mean, a fruit day or a flower day.
So time is just flying by here, guys. And I know that we want to keep it to half an hour. We've gone way over that already. But there are a couple of things we just want to cover here before we close it off. One is that the May schedule. So next Saturday would be the last Saturday in April and the last Saturday in this flight. We're going to taste the 15 Syrah. But then we are getting ready to continue this one in May. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, Rebecca?
Yeah, so May is out on our website now, so it shows you the wines that we're going to do for May. And you can purchase the package. And in May, we're going to try something that never has been done before. But
as far as we know,
it's as far as we know,
yeah. It's
going to be a challenge, but we're gonna go for it.
And that is to drink champagne for Mother's Day. No, we're also going to do that. But
what we're going to do is you will get, if you buy the package, you will get 3 sample bottles in there that is a blending component, meaning it could be, we are not going to tell what we're going to send. It could be 3 different clones. It could be, the Rhone varietal, yeah. And what we're going to do is on the show is we're going to do a blending together. The only thing you need to provide besides the wine glass is a shot glass, because we're going to have to measure. And
no cheating, no drinking everything right away. But the goal here is that just like we are bringing you to the vineyard right now and showing you the Biodynamic, what we want to do is we want to bring you to the winery. We want to bring you to our barrel room, and we want to show you what we do when we do blending in the barrel room, because we thought that would just be a fun thing to do.
So it's all out there now. You can see the schedule. The only thing is May 1st, we're going to skip that Friday night. And the reason is we are actually going to do something else that's never been done before. And we're going to have our wine club party. Even though we can't all get together, we're going to do it virtually. And so that's Saturday the 2nd. And so that's why we had to skip the 1st. So the 1st of May, we will not be here on Friday, but
we'll do it on Saturday with the wine club.
But we're doing it on Saturday.
We know we got a lot of wine club members out there. We got a couple of presents for you, so we can really celebrate things together and have some fun.
And the secret guest, somebody asked, was Athena, our dog. Athena.
Okay. You know what? When we wrap this up, we're going to let the dogs out so everybody can see those crazy dogs running around. Rebecca, we got just like we've done with the other ones, we have a little special deal. So we're going to sell Grenache. Now, here's the deal. Today, we're drinking a library wine, and we are literally completely sold out of this. We had to dig into our own library collection to find enough wine because there are more
I let my
people that
stingy husband argue with me. And I said, no, we got to have something fun. So he let me get out of his stash.
Yeah, I was not happy about that, but it tastes good. But what we cannot do is we cannot offer you a free bottle deal on this like we've done with the St. Rita Hills and the Rosé. Instead, we're going to do a 3-bottle deal on the 2015, the following vintage.
And the 2015 vintage, to let you know, was low yields, very high quality. It's the 15 vintages are just fantastic wines. All of our reds have scored quite well. So 15 is a good substitute.
So thanks again for joining us here. I hope that you guys had a fun time. We have a fun time doing this. I think it shows. I'm going to get more wine. That's a good thing.
I think we're going to have a toast to everybody.
We're going to have a toast to everybody. And to all of you guys, have a great, great weekend out there. Stay safe. And we will see you back next Friday. Cheers.
Cheers.
Do you want to let the dogs out? I'm going to switch the camera around so everybody can kind of see you. So give me a second. Here the guys are. Okay, are you going to start fighting as usual? You probably will. Here's the little one.
Don't fight.
They don't fight.
They play. Go play. Go play.